Let's get another perspective on this matter. Markwe.
Thank you, Chamberlain. We have with us in our studios right now Mr. Greg Esele, who's a retired Assistant Commissioner of Police and also a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sure that you must be, wondering too what is going on, or perhaps you already have an insight into what could be going on. You've seen just only recently the murder of an Afenifere chief, Mr. Fashoranti, and you see, just the amount of controversy is also causing in that area. What are your thoughts immediately on the security situation? I know that each area has its own, peculiarity, but what are your thoughts on the security situation in the country?
Yeah, and for now, for quite some time, it's been kind of dicey security-wise across the country. So that's why you have a lot of operations, both with the military and then the police. And the police had to institute the POF ADA, running from the northern axis and the rest of them. So with what happened recently in Akure, that's Ore Road, with Fashoranti's daughter, they had to now try to see how they could extend that activity to cover the roads from the southern axis of the country. And for now...
Yeah, but POF ADA was only for Abuja to Kaduna.
Abuja to Kaduna, so I'm part of the northern axis as a whole. Okay. Up to Katsina, Jigawa, and then Sokoto and Zamfara. Now we're trying to see how we could extend it downwards.
The same operation? The
same operation, yes, maybe a different component of it, yes, an extension of it downwards. So that is what the IG is trying to do for now. So, but when you look at the security, situation within a given context, you start getting worried in the sense that within the past 2 months or thereabout, the police and the military, they've been able to take away, that's various forces, we've been able to take away significant number of these criminals from their operational theater, and they are in custody and the rest of them. But then they work in cartels and in groups. So they now split themselves. Perhaps those that escaped the dragnet are the ones now extending their activities down south and other parts of the road. But the worry there is if there are no guarantees on public highways, then it becomes a worry, because when they make choice of victims, that is an issue. But when you have this one of opportunity crimes, where they just intercept a full bus load of passengers and start picking out victims from such passengers and taking them to the bush or so, it becomes an issue. So I am glad that the president has assured us during the Jaji passing out on Saturday that we are strategizing. We are working towards ensuring that the whole country is made crime-free. We are winning the fight, not just against terrorism, but against criminality, and trying to see how we could sort out, the bandits and the bandits and farmers issues that are happening around Zamfara, Katsina, and Sokoto states.
Yeah,
but it's a worrying trend, actually.
It is a worrying trend.
It's a worrying trend.
I want to say, what precisely were we waiting for? I mean, we have been seeing videos, I don't know if you have seen any one of them, of attacks on highways. People have been talking about these attacks on highways. They did have to take this for us to be hearing what it is that the federal government could, be planning could have up its sleeves.
You see, we have to be cognizant of this fact. You see, for one, we have a lot of not ungoverned spaces that the headsmen, the bandits or so, exploit. And then the highways, we have at least motorable highways, it's over 7 to 7, I can't really figure them, but they're quite significant. So what you have is we have significant mobile patrols and stationary patrols. Some are core service, core service individuals involved in it, and some are joint operations or so. But they have them across these stretches. So the problem we have is that if maybe between Kaduna and Abuja, you have about 170 something kilometers or so. You have about 12 points within these places. You have point A to point G and the rest of them. So in between those places, you have an overlap of traffic, of patrols. But these headsmen, because they work with local intelligence, they tend to take advantage of any slight opportunity to get the strike, and then they move back into the jungle and the rest of them. But then the problem we have is, like I always complain, is that our response time sometimes is always belated. By the time we get to the site, we try to see how we can manage the immediate scene of crime, but we don't do follow-up. So that follow-up, because you hear victims talking about being arrested, being kept somewhere, and being made to walk about 5 to 7 hours into the bush. Ordinarily, no matter how it is, at the time you take, maybe try to centralize this thing.
Let me ask you to hold your thoughts.
Yes.
You'll finish on that, that line of thoughts when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. Well, Mr. Greg Esele is still with us in the studio. He is a retired Assistant Commissioner of Police and also a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Now, you're talking about response time, that we don't respond, even though we have patrols along some of the highways. We don't seem to respond in good time. And you're making a point about people vehicles being stopped, people being selected from those vehicles and being walked for long hours into the bush. Could you quickly complete your thoughts along those lines?
Yes, that is from the narratives of victims. There seems to be a common pattern. You picked from the highway and you've taken about 5 to 7 hours into the bush. You see, the problem is at the time the response team, the response teams get to the site, they secure the site, try to see what they could do, but they don't go beyond maybe 500 meters or thereabout from the scene. And no matter how you do, at the time you do a radial, calculation, ordinarily one should have expected, if you are to deploy technology, you will have been able to deploy same, so that either it gives you a thermal reading, if you have good sensors, thermal reading, or it gives you a kind of optical, view as to the area as a whole. So that's why I was happy about 2 weeks back or thereabout. I think the brigade commander or so, around Akure area or so, he said they have been able to uncover about 18 locations of these bandits and herdsmen, bandits also that are troubling the southwest zone, and they've made a lot of arrests from there. And they are still going to deploy these drones, afar, so as to give them a better aerial understanding of their environment and situation. So we expect that, in as much as this technology is being deployed sparingly, one will expect it to be a more robust thing, so that in areas where these things happen, no matter how, since they are on foot, most times the victim may have been shot or the victim is made to walk, like when they took the chairman of UBEC, it took spend some time, but that very night or thereabout, they started negotiating. So we need to step it up a bit, so that we will, at every point in time when these things happen, we'll try to, even if you are 1 hour late in getting to the scene, we expect, because now we have emergency numbers, both at the national level and at state level, but even other services too, that you can call. When these numbers are called, there will be a response immediately, so that they will not deploy the services to the spot. So even if you take about an hour to get to the scene, you will still be able, when you deploy drones or other technology, drones essentially, because they will give you, at least they have geospatial information, they will give you that, and they will be able to trace and track that. No matter how distant or bushy the forested areas are, they must have linkage to a nearest town. And every nearest town has a police formation, either police or military formation. So with this happening, we will be able to at least checkmate them and reduce the freedom they have in just exploiting these ungoverned spaces.
But it does look like we're reactive. Like we're waiting for these things to happen. Some people will say that shouldn't we have seen that situations like this could arise and try to nip them? Because right now, we're dealing with these ones now, the so-called people who come to the road, they shoot at vehicles, they make them stop, and then they take people out of them. Now, shouldn't we be looking at the next threat? While we're trying to battle this one, what could the next threat be in that regard? I mean, trying to do something to stem it.
Yeah, the issue we have intelligence, you have information. Information helps you to build intelligence. So when you have, when information is desiccated, it now becomes intelligence, actionable. Some intelligence are the ones you deploy most immediately, and others are the ones you deploy over time. That is why you can, at least about a week back or thereabout, the rescue of the district head, Dan Garimagaji of Katsina, Daura, actually was rescued from Kano. He was picked up in Daura in Katsina, but 2 months after they picked him. So we have a lot of work on intelligence. You see, but the problem we have is because of the number, these criminal gangs, they've festered, they've gone so much that no matter intelligence you have, there will always be weak points. There will always be chinks in the armor that they will exploit. But the thing is, how do we curtail this? That is where the challenge is, because, like I said earlier, between April and July, the police, they were able to rescue about 118 victims of other operation. They recovered 1,341 firearms of different category. They were able to recover about 240 vehicles within the same process. They arrested 2,464 suspects, bandits, kidnappers, robbers, and the rest of them. So at the time you said, when these are taken out from the theater of operation, you have very few men on the ground. But the thing, what we're discovering now is this: we seem to have masterminds that are offshore. Either they are offshore or they are outside the immediate jurisdiction of Nigeria. So it seems. It's an assumption that we're working on. That seems to control these things, so that when the onslaught is high, it pulls back some of the foot soldiers, and then they wait. Then they start deploying them again in bits. That is why you discover that now this aspect of it is moving from the northern core towards the southern aspects of the country. But even at that too, we have to understand that these people are in this thing for business. It's like a business enterprise for them. So they are also evolving. They are also evolving, what they call it, modus to evade the law and the system. So when you talk of intelligence, no matter how you do it, there is no way you can get 100%, effectiveness in deploying your forces, because in the first place you have a long stretch of route, and furthermore, when these things happen, some of them happen at isolated points. About 3 weeks back, I had the opportunity of traveling somewhere around there just towards Ilorin. I tried to go by road. And there are portions of these routes that for about 20 minutes, you just discover that you are alone on the route. 20 whole minutes you are alone on the route. So it
does raise serious questions as to those mobile patrols you're talking about, if they truly exist. Because some people will say that we have not seen anything on our own side of the highway. But we have to thank you for coming on Sunrise City this morning and sharing your thoughts. And I think that we look forward to the police themselves, sharing some of their insights. We want to be reassured, but we also want to know what the challenges are. Well, thank you so much for coming on Sunrise City this morning. Mr. Greg Esele is a retired Assistant Commissioner of Police and also a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Well, that's it for this segment. Sunrise City continues about now with Chamberlain and the crew in Lagos.